produced on a stage, and then I just see it reproduced, and I just think that's an amazing feeling. So that is actually what I'm most proud of. Even though if you count like things in my life that have been successes, it doesn't probably compare by anyone else's measure. So that's what it is.
Now I turn the program back to Madam Master.
Okay, you don't want me to do one then. All right, get me off the hook. Thank you, Swanson.
Thanks.
Thank you. I love those questions. And that's your last few sentences. That's so right. We're in control. The things that almost spark the best in our head are what we had control over. You know, you're proud of your child, but really, well, I can't say it any better than you did, but you're really in control of yourself. So when you feel yourself doing something with your own mind and your full body, then it's just such a great feeling. So, good job. I'd like to ask Tom to come back up as general evaluator and introduce his team, and we'll get all the record keeping taken care of and the evaluations. Okay? Thank you.
First, I would like to call up our speaker, Alan Garner, and his evaluator, Krishna.
Alan, fantastic speech once again, and I'm glad to see that we have a few people now that have completed the Competent Communicators Manual and moved on to more advanced manual, and you're doing the entertaining speaker manual. And appropriately enough, your speech was very entertaining, and actually, I wanted to ask the timer, what was his time for that?
5:24 on the button.
5:24 on the button. That's what you had said you were going to do.
You did. That's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Gotta high five myself.
So I mean, my first thought, I know that the time is 5 to 7 minutes, and the first compliment that I have is when you finished, I felt like I wanted more. That couldn't have been long enough time. I mean, it was that good of a talk and such interesting material that I just wanted to hear more and more. And I'm sure, for you to get it down to what it was, there was a lot of interesting things you probably had to cut. So it was, it's a compliment to say you want to leave us wanting more. So I also wanted to compliment you at the beginning. You segued it in so naturally. You gave her a high five, which just seemed like, oh, I'm just goofing around giving you a high five, but it just segued right into the topic. And not only that, you also used the word of the day, which I'm assuming was not originally part of your and so we didn't even need an opening because it just came so naturally that it just seemed like you were talking off the cuff from the get-go. And then all of a sudden you bring us into the story where we realize, oh, this is a prepared speech, and you just swept us right into it. Just fantastic job. As far as the main story about the invention of the high five and the life of Glenn Burke, just great storytelling. We had this anticipation of this jock guy who invented the high five, but it was just completely took us the other way, and which is what I'm sure why he chose this story. Just complete opposite of what you would have thought would have been the history of this story. That sort of thing. So it was a great job, and then tying it back into our lives and the whole Jeopardy question, proving that it's it's just this huge moment in history that has gone. I've always thought it's been around forever because I've got an 18-month-old. He can high five. I thought it's just an innate ability. So it was a great, fantastic job. It's one of those, you delivered it in a way where it seems like, gosh, it seems like this has been something you've been delivering for 10 years and then after or before. So it's a great job. My couple of comments, and this is just I think for you would be good feedback is, first thing, pausing. There's a few places, especially when you're doing entertaining speaking, but it's also an emotional story. It's a hard thing to be able to pause and hold it for what seems like an eternity up here. But the audience, when you're getting into, when you said, like, for me having a kid, high five with your baby. You could have paused for like probably 5 seconds for everyone to like. Everyone's got high five moments in their life, you know. Give them a chance to like relive that. You know, you just said it and you just jump right into the next thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just watch stand-up comedians, the professionals. Watch how long they pause in between jokes and that sort of thing. It would be torture for most of us to pause that long, but that's how you have to deliver when you're this entertaining. You're shortchanging us, I think, by not pausing and letting us absorb the information. You know, you're giving us a lot of new information and very helpful information. So I think that's one thing. The second thing I had, so once again, because you came in right at the time limit that you said you were going to come in here. I wrote it here, but now I know it was right. You're a perfectionist type of a person, and so you don't have. I don't think you have ahs or stumbles that get picked up by an ah counter, but I think I've noticed you have a little click type of a pause where you have this perfect wording that you've prepared and you want to get that wording perfectly. And I think instead of being technically perfect, I think you want this more, you started with that natural, I high five, I just slipped right in. And then when I catch you trying to have this perfect wording, I think you need to just be natural and don't worry about having it perfectly worded, because the story is good enough. You don't have to worry about this perfect, it's not, we're not grading, I don't know what the word, we're not grading for grammar, we're grading for impact, and just don't worry about coming in exactly 5:24. Okay, so I mean that's all I've got really. It's just fantastic job. We look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you. Thanks so much.
That was an excellent evaluation. Now I will have our timer give today's timers report.
Okay, I'm just gonna stand up at my chair here. Well, first we know that Alan's speech came in at 5:24.
So did mine.
Not to be outdone by Chris's evaluation, coming in at 5:22. I think if you would have let in with a high five, you could have got it. We have a whole slew of table topics today, so we'll go through starting with Eric. You were at 1 minute 4 seconds. Deb was at 47 seconds. Myself at 1:15. Elisa 37 seconds. Sarah 1:02. Tom 49 seconds. And Chris 52 seconds. That's the timer's report for today.
Next we have the evaluation team. Deb, to give the honors report.
Okay. We had a lot of people today, some doubling up here on duties, so I'm just going to go down the line. Arlene, I got a couple of ums and ahs and a so. John, I didn't find anything in the invocation. Didn't find anything for Chris in the word of the day. Alan, I found one and one so. One son, just one so. Eric, 2 so's, and Chris 2 so's in your table topics. Tom claimed I was clean, probably not. John, 2 for your table topic. Tom, 1 ah. It's very soft, but Chris, so complex. Chris, for the evaluation, some, so's and likes. Is it Alisa or Alyssa?
Alisa.
Alisa. 1 1 and what is this? 2 so's. Tom, I didn't find anything on yours, and Sarah just 1. I think that's it.
I'll just finish the rest of it out standing here in my chair. As a general evaluation for the whole meeting, we started fairly close to on time. We were about 8 minutes after. We've been targeting about 5 minutes after, so not too bad. Painfree MC's time. The Sergeant at Arms did just a fantastic job of having the whole room prepared. Cards out. We had no guests today, so no need to introduce any guests. There weren't any. The meeting opened well. We had our announcements for Chris's speech tonight, Maple Grove, and also dues. Just handed me and Maggie. So we kept the business within the allotted time. The meeting is still running on time. Our Toastmaster did an excellent job. We had agendas, great transitions in between the speakers, and I like how you used the fillers as in between when we were evaluating Alan, and then also the nice introduction you gave to Alan. That was great. The lectern was exchanged fantastically with the use of the high five today. The speeches were manual speeches from the manual. The speaker did achieve the goal of his speeches. The table topics, I think we do it just a little different here. It says, was the question asked before the members were called on, but we don't do it that way. We do it when we get up there, so it's kind of a novel point. Excellent evaluation, very helpful feedback. Everyone explained their duties well. Thank you to my team of evaluators. And I turn the floor back over to Alan.
Thank you, Tom, for picking that up last minute. You're very detail-oriented that way, so next time we'll have to make sure you pick it up if GE doesn't show up. I just want to end the meeting as a Toastmaster to just say, take that one thing that you want to do in this club and just take the opportunity and do it. Maybe don't even wait for someone to ask you to be Toastmaster or to do a speech, or wait for someone to drop off the agenda to pick up a spot. Just do it. And I'd like to turn the meeting over to the president, and I hope you don't mind I'm doing that early. I probably could talk for 10 minutes. I have a meeting at 1:15 that I have to get in the car and go to. So it kind of worked out for me being Toastmaster. I can get you guys out of here.
Great job, Arlene. Was this your first time as Toastmaster? Or have you done
Here,
it
I
before?
think this is my second or third, but I've been Toastmaster a few times before.
Okay. You did a great job. I appreciate
Thank
all
you.
the extra little tidbits. It's great. Do we have a volunteer for Toastmaster for next week? I'm forgetting to ask the past couple of weeks, but we're trying to establish that early so that people can send out, pester some reminders.
You on vacation next week?
Well, we could do a live meeting or something.
I don't think I've ever seen Alan Toastmaster.
Really?
Have you?
I did not too
Yeah.
long ago.
I think you
Yeah.
must have missed that.
I'll do it again. You know,
Or if Elisa
Eric
wants to.
did.
All in favor, say aye.
I'm not going to be here next week.
What is next week?
Can't think of any reason there. Did you do any reason? No, you haven't.
Not all that recently. Actually, fingers crossed, trying to push and get my icebreaker for next week.
Oh.
So that's a good excuse.
Let's get that done.
The pressure's on now, so now I have to do it.
It's out on the table.
Yeah.
Tom, you can start.
So what's that? Tom will be Toastmaster.
All right.
Oh, yay, Tom.
Actually, I did want to take just about 20 seconds here to say one thing about Alan's speech today that I picked up on. I think that's something we can all pick up on, is just the use of the actual words that you chose to use. And there were two things in particular. One, when you were talking about after he hit his home run, and you mentioned that there was 46,000 fans on their feet. You could have just said the whole crowd cheered. But when you say bring in the actual 46,000 fans, we all get an image of a baseball stadium filled with fans. We can see what 46,000 fans, and it really brings that image. So I thought that was an excellent job. Also, when you were talking about Jeopardy, and you could have said, and he rang his buzzer, and said, you went beep, 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 and you made the noise. And so, it brings a different part of your brain into the picture where you're thinking, well, I've seen Jeopardy, and I can actually picture this guy